The good times just keep on rolling for the Seattle Seahawks as they were able to get another comfortable, early secured win in what has been a season that has been many of those. A lot of victory formations, a lot of Drew Lock coming in with a drive left just because you don't want to get Sam hurt kind of situations, which was again the case this past Sunday against the Vikings as they come away with a 26-0 win, a dominant win, but a win that was really as comfortably gained because of what the defense was able to provide in this football game. They went out there, grabbed this win. They said, we don't care what you do today, offense. We're going to go get this if we have to do it by ourselves. And indeed, they ended up outscoring the Minnesota Vikings, so maybe they could have if they would have been needed to do so. It was a game where the Minnesota Vikings walked into it, and they've been in some shabby shape when it comes to that offense. A revolving door at the quarterback position. J.J. McCarthy not quite being the replacement for Sam Darnold that they hoped he would be. Carson Wentz getting injured after they realized he was probably not the answer as well. And so you had Minnesota Viking fans talking themselves into Max Brosmer being the new reiteration of Tom Brady, that he's been showing out in practice. He's ready to go. No, he's actually probably better than McCarthy. We've just had to kind of protect JJ because if we put this guy out here and he's going to be as sensational as he's probably going to be, then then JJ is going to have his pride hurt and stuff. These were some of the things that you're sort of hearing from the Viking fan base this past Sunday, or at least this past week leading up to this Sunday. And it was a little bit odd heard at that because the kid was undrafted and a rookie free agent at that for a reason. And when you look at Brosmer's final stat line, 19 of 30, 126 yards, no touchdowns, and 4 interceptions, it would on the surface of things appear he was a product of the predicament of the situation he was placed in. But this was also in large part, this poor performance driven by the Seattle Seahawks defense as they were on fire in this game from start to finish. And they did so by taking away the things the Minnesota Vikings wanted to do. You come into a game with this undrafted rookie free agent quarterback, you're going to want to run the ball more than you passed. If you're going to ask him to throw the ball, you're going to ask him to throw the ball on nice quick throws, get the ball out of his hands, certainly keep him protected against this vital Seahawks pass rush, but then also allow him to be in third makeable situations so you can keep moving the chains, not asking him to make a lot of high leverage throws. Seattle did the opposite of that as far as what they forced in the performance of this Minnesota Viking offense. You stop the run right from the jump here, and not only stop the run and limiting it, by limiting it, not just limiting the 10 yards and more runs, but limiting even those 5-6 yard gains that get them down to that 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. It's one of the places the Seahawks defense has improved throughout the course of this year. They've been good in stopping the run in just about every game this year. But in this one, you really felt you're getting in now only 1 yard gains, 2 yard gains, -1 yard gain. And this was setting the stage for you to then put the Vikings in a real trepidatious territory when it came to third downs. Minnesota was 2 of 10 today on third downs. And you were successful, as we know with third downs, the best teams in third down tend to be those teams that force offenses into third and very long. The Vikings averaged over 9 yards an attempt on third down in this game. And we know with Mike McDonald as well, that's when he really starts to get into his bag. That's when he really dials up the pressures, the stack boxes, and really gets after these offenses in a real major way, an aggressive way, when he feels like he's got a room for error on those kind of situations. And he did so today. He had this rookie quarterback's head swimming. But you had to earn the right to get to that place. You did so on 1st and 2nd down. Then as the game bore along, you were able to force some turnovers. The guy who came back into the stage here this week and looked so very good was Ernest Jones. 12 tackles. He was a monster in the run game. He was there on the spot there for the first interception where DeMarcus Lawrence really makes the grade A play because he recognizes on a 4th and 1 that it's going to be pass. He doesn't buy into the play action. He jumps right on top of the quarterback. Something the Seahawks did really good against Stafford a couple weeks ago is on that play action with the quarterback, they'll have a defender, especially an unblocked one, just go right at the quarterback so that if the quarterback keeps it on the ball, he's right there in his face and he's got nowhere to go, which is just what happened there. It's a 4th down play. So from a rookie perspective, you just think, man, why not just throw up a prayer and hope something good happens? Well, he threw up the prayer and it landed into Ernest Jones' lap and he was able to take it back for a pick 6, swing the momentum fully into the Seahawks' favor at that point, and they never looked back from there. Ernest able to get another interception in this game on a tip pass where he was in just the right place, the right time. Part of that's being in the right place, being in the right spot and coverage to be able to go make those picks. He now has 4 interceptions on the year, one of the real leaders on this defense. What a great addition he's been since coming over in that midseason trade last year from the Titans. Just want to say once again, thank you to the Rams for letting him go, but he's been a godsend for this defense and good to see him getting back out there, albeit though he does look like he's still a little bit gimpy on that knee. The defensive line, as I've said in so many of these wrap-up videos, was to a man awesome today. You can go one by one through these units, even the backups that are coming out there, and they really performed well at a high level. DeMarcus Lawrence looks reborn in the Seattle Seahawks defense, quite far from washed. He looks revitalized. This rotation of edge rushers, Boye Mafe, Derek Hall, Uchenna Nwosu, DeMarcus Lawrence, all rolling through, all controlling each other's snaps, all allowing each guy to really play with his hair on fire when he's out on the field. You feel that with each of these guys going as hard as they possibly can every snap. They're physical. They get after it hard. There's no one taking any downs off. And he is setting a standard here and showed you on a couple of those plays in this game that he is going to play hard every single snap. Leonard Williams had another monster game, playing as well as any defensive tackle in this sport, bar none. But like DeMarcus, every week you feel the hustle from him. It's not just what they show you as a pass rush, going out there and getting the nice flashy snaps, the flashy sacks, the flashy pressure numbers. It's also them being a monster in the run game. It's DeMarcus Lawrence coming off a block and hitting the tight end, getting knocked off his spot for a quick second. The ball's complete on a flat route throw. He then chases it up the field 15 yards with the kind of effort he displayed there. And not only comes up to then make the tackle, but get himself in a position to rake down the arm and rip out a fumble and force another turnover there, forcing his second turnover because he forced the interception, Ernest Jones, early on in the game. But the hustle you're getting from guys and him and Leonard Williams who are on big monster contracts, who've earned a lot of money, who've already played a lot of football in this league, as the season is winding down, as a body is tired, having every reason to kind of dial it back a little bit, just do just enough. But this is part of the energy and spirit you get from a team that wants to be better than that wants greatness, that's looking to actually be that contender. You need your vets, you need your stars to be pulling the load in this way, showing these youngsters this is the standard, as they often talk about. This is the way, and they showed you this today. DeMarcus Lawrence did. Leonard Williams did this in a variety of ways as he does. Great as a pass rusher, great as a run defender, gives it to you both ways. Byron Murphy got himself another sack out there. He supplies his pressure inside while also being a very strong run defender. I thought Derek Hall was out there dropping guys. At one point he threw a lineman or decked him or something. I don't know. The guy just went flying 4 yards. He's out there being physical, tough, and mean. The secondary was on it in this game. Woolen, pretty locked down out there, might have given up a couple completions, but didn't allow much. He has a pick, his first one of the year as the game's winding on. It was a little bit of, reminded me of an old Richard Sherman play against the Rams way back in the day, where Sherman's in off coverage as a zone cover corner, and he's dropping to depth. And what they're doing is running a route concept where they're running kind of the slot with the outside receiver kind of in the same place. And what that then allows is potentially that outside corner to drift into that slot if the quarterback throws it to the slot up the seam, especially if the quarterback reads the safety help is not there on time and it looks kind of open initially there. A lot of times the corner will just stay to the outside, stay to his responsibility, that outside receiver. With Woolen there, he's reading the eyes of the quarterback, reading the throwing motion, and he peels off of his outside responsibility to go undercut the slot route going up the seam for a really great interception, which of course got a little bit neutralized when Woolen then gave up the fumble on the return, carrying the ball like a loaf of bread. Devin Witherspoon continues to look like he has found his home out on the outside. And how about Nick Emanwari? He came out here into the slot this game knowing he was going to get a steady dose of Justin Jefferson, and he gave Justin Jefferson one of the worst games that he's had. Was Jefferson restricted by the fact that Max is throwing in the ball, that he's got limitations of the quarterback position? Sure. Was Nick Emanwari really tight in coverage on Jefferson in a couple of cases in this game? You better believe he was. But the combination of all three of these corners and how it's working together right now with a little bit of Josh Jobe thrown in the mix, it is just a perfect balance going on right there. Tayakata coming off that injury tough. He was pretty solid back there. Kobe Bryant got himself another interception. That man has earned himself a lot of money. I can't look at anybody on this defense and go, you need to do your job better. You were kind of failing. Everybody else was holding up their line, but you didn't do what you need to be doing. Everybody was doing what they need to be doing and excelling and giving you splash plays. Even Drake Thomas continues to excel. 5 tackles, a half a sack, a tackle for loss, strong in coverage, shooting the gap in the run game, pulling the trigger, being instinctive, all over the place, just flying around. Everybody did their job, and they were absolutely, utterly dominant today, if the scoreboard didn't already indicate that. The offense on the other side of it was all right today. They found some consistency in this game, but there was some struggles early on especially. It's a little bit of a head scratcher from my perspective on this one, because you came into this game knowing that the Minnesota Vikings blitz at the highest rate in the NFL. You had Brian Flores telegraphing early on in the week in press conferences that he intended to blitz Sam Darnold constantly. And instead of feeling like you prepared for that and you were anticipating that a little bit in this game to start things out, it looked like a little bit of the opposite. You were caught off guard. Your pass protections got exposed. A lot of people were going to try to go to Sam Darnold on this one, but this was as much because you had a very wonky game plan for how the Minnesota Vikings were looking to attack you. And you could see this in part by the adjustment that they then made into the second half. Because you'd expect if they're going to bring the house, and the Vikings weren't just blitzing the 5-man fire zone blitzes, they're bringing the 6, they're bringing the 7. They're trying to overload the number game at the line of scrimmage there. That meant you had to be embracing more of the fly sweep concepts, bubble screens, hitting the out route, getting the ball as quickly out of the hand of Sam Darnold as you can. Now, in doing this at times, you're going to get some tip passes here and there with this kind of offense dealing with this kind of pressure. Price is doing business, I would say, when you're trying to have a guy hit the hot route read, because those are not hot route reads that are going down the field. You're trying to throw it quick to a guy just off the line of scrimmage. You're going to get some tip balls within that. Some of it is a little bit of Sam Darnold's, a little bit of a windup that he can have there. That's going to lead to a little bit of more tip balls. But some of that was also how they were looking to attack there in that first half, as they just felt like they were caught a little bit off guard. Now, the good news is that you still found some consistency. You ran the ball well. And both Charbonnet and Walker in this game both had some really nice runs where it wasn't always just clean and easy. They're having to pick their way through traffic. They're having to fight through that tackler that might even be behind the line of scrimmage to go find a positive gain. But both those guys have come on really strong in this offense, and they feel like they're getting more and more comfortable with this run game and what required from the running backs. And don't discount that, because this is a system that can sometimes ask running backs to operate a little bit more differently than they get to used to do in more systems where they can kind of freelance and go anywhere that they want to go. But Walker especially has really been feeling like he's tuning it up here as the season goes along. He looks fresh, he looks healthy, he looks really, really good to go, and he's being a difference-making component on this offense when he's out there and they're giving him some touches. As far as Darnold goes, it wasn't a perfect day. He didn't throw anything into harm's way. There was less of those turnover-worthy plays. A lot of it today was kind of playing it safe, I feel like, because of the fact that you could recognize by about halfway into the third quarter, you had this game in tow. The defense was not going to allow the Minnesota Vikings to do anything on this day but maybe kick some field goals. Really, the only way back into this game from a Viking perspective at that point was your offense turning the ball over on a short field, as they did at one point in this game, but the defense was able to clean it up. The offense seemed to recognize this in the play calling. Darnold seemed to recognize this. Some of it is also the adjustments you made at halftime, where you had more of those screens, more of those throws out in the flat, more of just getting the ball out of Sam's hand quickly, and that seemed to work a little bit better. So though you didn't have as many touchdown drives into that second half as maybe you'd like to get in this game, that's a tough Minnesota Viking defense, and you did find success. You did find some consistent drives, and you were finding some pretty consistent points on the day, as Jason Myers had 4 field goals on this day, a couple of long ones, but he's gotten those field goal opportunities in part because the offense was finding some success in moving the ball. I'm not going to say it was a grade A day for the offense. No, it wasn't, but it's also not as bad as, again, the stat column might indicate, in the respect of part of it was the conservative nature that you were going to employ down the home stretch of this game, because the defense just had that offense the Vikings put to rest. They were not going to get anything done on this day. Receiver-wise, GSN only had 24 yards in this game, didn't get much going on that side of it. Cooper Kupp had a couple of catches, made a nice run after the catch on a nice little cut. AJ Barner was the guy leading the way for you on this day, as a big part of that was that second half adjustment, just getting the ball into his hands at times, just quickly on real fast acting routes to try to anticipate a little bit that high blitz game you're getting from the Vikings. Just kind of odd again that they didn't employ that kind of from the jump, because it really feel like you could kind of anticipate this is what was coming, in a place where I thought they were going to have a little bit of a better plan in order to get it going. Seahawks are still trying to find a way to get Rashid Shaheed acclimated into the offense. Elijah Arroyo, the second-round pick, still trying to find a way to get him acclimated into the offense. Still trying to find your way here offensively speaking. It's far from a finished product like we're starting to kind of feel on the defensive side of the ball. But look, when the special teams plays as great as they played today, Jason Myers hitting all of his kicks, a couple of 50-yarders, Dixon punting really well, you defending pretty well again on the kickoff and the punt returns. Offensively, you don't have to do as much. And sometimes you're going to get to recognize in these games that when everybody else is doing their job so well, we just need to not make the mistakes, keep things rolling, keep the clock churning in that second half, and we can come out of this with the win. So Seahawks come out of this with a 26-0 win. It's not a fancy win. It's not both sides of the ball utterly dominating, but this is a defense that continues to ascend, and a defense that I think has a good argument as anybody to say we might be the number one defense in the entire NFL. From the season's perspective, this win can't be undersold in the respect of giving the Seattle Seahawks a chance and opportunity. The Rams lost today, and now the Seattle Seahawks really do control their fate. I know right now the Chicago Bears are technically the number one seed, but they're going to lose another game this season. The Seattle Seahawks can win out. In anticipation of that probable Bear loss, Seattle Seahawks have a clean, true opportunity as we get late into the season to be able to go get the number one bye and home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Now, they're going to have to beat some good teams, and that's been one of the questions about the Seahawks team coming into this, up until this game here in a couple weeks, when we're going to be able to play the Colts and the Rams and the Panthers and the Niners, and we'll figure out what's what, and actually we're getting some high-quality opponents you're facing, true challenges to see where this team really stands, and it's going to be hard to win every one of those games down the road to get out of the season. But with that said, the Seattle Seahawks are in that position to control their own fate. The Bears are probably going to lose another game, and when they have gone to the Super Bowl the 3 times in their history for the Seahawks, in 05 and 13 and 14, you were the number one seed, and you had home field advantage throughout the playoffs. That is a huge advantage to have if you can grab it. So the fact that that's in their sight line now, the fact that that's attainable, allows for this season and the potential of this season to just rise a little bit more with it. Is this team into its final form yet? I don't think they are. Are they showing some improvement across the board? You better believe it. The defense continues to get more dominant. The run game cannot be undersold in that it continues to improve as the season goes along. We got to figure out more of the passing attack and getting more balance away from JSN and finding more consistency there across the board? Sure. But there's a lot of parts of this team that are rounding into championship form, and that hopefully has many Seahawks fans out there very excited, not for 2026, but for the 2025 playoffs. My name is Brandon King. It's the Hawks Nest. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. But beyond all that, don't you ever forget, go Hawks.